Hello there. We have a bit more information about the sort of politics and infrastructure surrounding the fires. Uh, I hope that this is informative at the very least, even if you don't agree with me. I hope that you give it some thought. So, this is the fire chief, assistant chief, and training commander in Los Angeles Fire Department. You can see that they are all women. This is a bit unusual because usually firefighters tend to be men due to higher physical strength, which is useful when hauling, either survivors from a burning building or heavy equipment, stuff of that nature. So, in general, the people who tend to be successful firefighters are mostly men. And they're the ones who pass the exams, the physical fitness exams, and somehow they are absent from this little photo here. People reacted on Twitter with things like, if DEI is a good thing, why do they get upset when you call someone a DEI hire? Others say that DEI is just better branded racism. Adam Carolla had this to say.
Geez, I want to talk about my white privilege so badly. I graduated North Hollywood High with a 1.7 GPA. I could not find a job. I walked to a fire station in North Hollywood. I was 19. I was living in the garage of my family home. My mom was on welfare and food stamps. And I said, can I get a job as a fireman? And they said, no, because you're not black, Hispanic, or a woman. We'll see in about 7 years. And I went to a construction site and dug ditches and picked up garbage for the next 7 years. I got a letter in the mail sent to my father's house saying, your time has come to do the written exam for the LA Fire Department. I took it, and I was standing in line, and I had a young woman of color standing behind me in line, and I said, just out of curiosity, when did you sign up to become a fireman? Because I did it, or a person, 7 years ago, and she said, Wednesday. That is an example of my white privilege.
So, this is, I believe Adam Carolla is a host of the Adam Carolla Show, 3 times New York Times best-selling author. So, essentially he's saying he tried to be a firefighter. Obviously, he was denied for 7 years, he says. Meanwhile, a young woman of color gets it the same week, essentially. Are you sure young women of color are better firefighters inherently and therefore should be prioritized? Or should we just let anyone who wants to go by the order they sign up? Or if you're prioritizing anyone, perhaps those that are physically best fit to do the job, which are, once again, usually men with physical strength. This is what Megyn Kelly had to say.
Who gives a shit if the fire chief is gay? I'm sorry, but who gives a flying fig about who she likes to sleep with? Can you fight the fucking fires, madam? That's the relevant question. We don't care about your lady parts, and we don't care who you want having access to them. Can you fight fires? Can you make sure there's water in the fire hydrants when you realize in Ventura County this is a massive problem? When you realize that California is going through a drought where they haven't had rain in weeks and months, I don't care who turns you on. And you know why they have only 100 women in a squad of 3,300? Because women tend to be smaller and not as strong. And unless you lower the requirements to become a firefighter, most women can't pass the test. This is an absurdity.
So, I agree with everything she said, obviously. I don't care about color of your skin or your genitals or who you're attracted to. That is all irrelevant. Are you the right person for the job? Do you have merit in that position? Are you competent? That's it. Charlie Kirk brought an interesting clip of the Los Angeles mayor, Karen Bass. Here it is.
Right now, if you need help, emergency information, resources, and shelter is available. All of this can be found at URL. Los Angeles, together is how we will get through this. Through the heroism of our firefighters, the vigilance.
So I let it run a bit more so that you understand that this, I'm not taken out of context, this is literally what she said. All of this help can be found at URL. If you need emergency help or shelter, can be found at URL. What does that even mean? Is it supposed to be a website or something? Because it's not even a link you can write down and it will take you anywhere. It's insane. Now, people are trying to use this for every political machination possibly imaginable. Some people compare it to what happened in Gaza, Yemen, Syria, Lebanon. Some people are saying that this is proof of climate change. And of course, some people, such as myself, say that this is proof that certain left-wing politicians are not doing their job. I will admit that I have an agenda just like anybody else, except I will say that I try very hard to be honest and to bring you the receipts so that you can judge for yourself. Disagreement is perfectly fine. I just despise the idea that doing your own research is somehow bad. That's all. Alex Jones said that there's massive cases of insurance companies just pulling out 2, 3, 4 months before the fires, including actor James Woods confirms homeowner insurance policies were cancelled in mass amounts before the Palisade LA neighborhood was destroyed by the historic firestorm. There's been a lot of people on Twitter talking about this, saying that their fire insurance, was cancelled shortly beforehand. This is an interesting coincidence. Whether the people there somehow got a warning that this type of weather is predicted, and they knew that the policies the governments took were bad, and therefore they pulled ahead of time in order to minimize losses, or whether they were somehow, how to put it, involved in this financially, I have no idea. Drought from Reuters. In Los Angeles, water runs short as wildfires burn out of control. There has been a massive shortage of water to fight the fire with, and it seems as though infrastructure challenges in rapid water delivery. In short, they didn't have the amount of water on hand to fight the fire. This is strange. They claim that this is... here's the quote I wanted. It's not a matter of there's not enough water in Southern California, it's a matter of there's not enough water in that particular area of Southern California, just for these few hours that you need is to fight the fires. Now, how could you not be prepared for something like this after you've had, a couple of years ago, a massive fire again? This is something that happens routinely every couple of years in California, so how come you weren't ready? I have no idea. This is about Trump's reaction. Trump says Governor Gavin, he calls him, Newsom, instead of Newsom, chose to save an extinct fish instead of sending water to Southern California to fight apocalyptic wildfires. Now, this is a road that they've had since Trump was in office, essentially. Trump raged that the Democratic governor blocked an order that would have diverted more water from the much wetter north to the state's parched regions, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. That's the quote. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt, but didn't care about the people of California, the incoming president ranted on his Truth Social platform. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. Trump long supported delivering supply from California's main water hub, the Sacramento-San Joaquin River Delta, to farmers who have struggled with repeated drought. I don't like this photo. Next. But his plans faced resistance from environmental groups that argued they would disastrously hurt the population of Delta smelt, small fish that were once crucial to California's ecosystem, but has since been rendered effectively extinct. Trump's first promised to redirect California's northern runoff south to benefit farmers during his first presidential bid in 2016, and made good on his promise in 2020 with a federal memorandum that redirected millions of gallons of water he said was otherwise needlessly flushed into the ocean, according to Courthouse News Service. But days later, Newsom's administration sued to block Trump's move and succeeded in limiting the amount of water that can be pumped from the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. The two politicians have spent the ensuing years duking it out over the state's water plans, which are regulated by both state and federal laws. In September, Trump said that if elected, he would cut off wildfire aid to California if Newsom refused to change a policy protecting the smelt and allow water to flow on his terms, the Hill reported. If you don't give him money to put out his fires, he's got problems, Trump said at the time. Rather than capitulating, Newsom doubled down and teamed up with President Biden to devise their own regulation to direct water to Southern California with the smelt in mind. Newsom's office also denied Trump's claims Wednesday, with a spokesperson claiming they weren't quite sure what water restoration declaration Trump was referring to. That's something that Trump referred to in his post on Truth Social. I tried searching for it, but unfortunately all I got was the official fact-checking websites and mainstream news organizations talking about it, how it doesn't exist. Any sources that are pro-Republican trying to make their own case for what it is, well, I couldn't find them, and neither could DEI, asked Grok. So, unfortunately, I have only one side of the story and I can't confirm it. As for trusting the trusted fact-checkers, if you caught them lying on literally every other story ever, for example, the Hunter Biden laptop story, the good people on both sides of the statue, if you remember, they claimed Trump said it about the neo-fans of the Triple Ks, let's say, when in fact he said that he condemns them totally and talked about the people talking about whether or not to remove statues. There have been many other cases. Sometimes, like with the statue thing, they redress it years and years later, but in general, fact-checkers, in my opinion, have a horrible record, so I don't trust a word they say. Now, the office of Gavin Newsom said there is no such document as the Water Restoration Declaration. That is pure fiction. The governor is focused on protecting people, not playing politics, and making sure firefighters have all the resources they need. I wonder about that. This is wait, beforehand, let's talk about the resign hashtag. So resign is trending on Twitter/X, and it seems to be referring to 3 people. Gavin Newsom, people just write resign, pictures of him with the fire. There's also people who talk about Keir Starmer, incidentally, talking about how, well, he's to blame for the many cases of women and girls being abused by foreign men. And of course, there are people who talk about the mayor, LA mayor, refusing to answer any questions after she returns from her trip to Guyana. People of California, these people have zero respect for you, demand Mayor Care and resign. So these are the 3 people that are being tagged with this. Interesting to note, they're all left-wing politicians, but that's just be my own bias talking. Now, finally, we have an interesting conspiracy theory, basically saying that Smart LA 2028 seminar, there is going to be an Olympics in 2028, and they wanted to change Los Angeles to a smart city in preparation for it. Well,
known as Smart LA 2028, as a roadmap to the 2028 Summer Olympics. It includes 56 new goals that use technology to transform the way we live, work, and move around LA. Check it out here. Thank you.
So, essentially, this is a longer video, but it's mostly talking about how they want literally every utility and everything in the city, so cars, street lights, every appliance in your house, to be smart and connect to the Internet of Things. Everything is supposed to handle information and send it out, so that everything can be very convenient, but you have zero privacy and the government has total control. If they decide to shut down anything remotely, well, you can't do much about it. That's just the paranoid side of me talking, maybe, but still, I wouldn't want to live in a smart city. And I don't think they are very confident that other people want to as well. What happened is that there has been an awful disaster, and this is an opportunity. As this guy says, that posted this video, change is easy in a crisis. So instead of actually having this be debated over time, put up to a vote perhaps, let people decide whether they want to implement this in their own home or not, no, they're just going to wait for a disaster. If you're more conspiratorially minded, you might say that they created the conditions or even caused the disaster, and then they're going to implement the change through the government in the rebuilding process, essentially using their money and influence to make sure that the government does what they want and forces it on the people. So, this is an interesting little tidbit. I'm not sure how much truth there is to it, but it is certainly a viable way to look at things if you consider what happened with the fires in Lahaina, in Maui, a couple of years back, where essentially it is now being rebuilt as a smart city. That's what they promised from day one after the fire. This is something that definitely appears to be the MO, the modus operandi of the more globalist-minded people who want everything to be electronic and smart and connected. Essentially, to them, the people who are not complying with ideas like digital ID or smart appliances, smart homes, smart cities, the people who want to return to a less always online kind of lifestyle, the people who value their independence and privacy over convenience and the ability to fast track change and always be one step ahead with technology. These kinds of people are a sort of roadblock to progress. And the way to circumvent them is simply to act in times of disaster, because in a crisis it is much easier to force change. There's not as much resistance from the people because they're too busy with the crisis, and you have a lot more leeway as the people in power in times of emergency authorization legally. Maybe it is very not sarcastic, very the word escapes me for a moment, sorry. Maybe it is a very cynical, that's the word I was looking for, way to look at things. But on the other hand, if it happens over and over again, is it cynical or realistic, I wonder. Now, finally, I'd like to talk about how, in the end, this is not going to actually cause anyone to change their opinions. I talked about how this is being used by different people to push for different agendas, whether it is against DEI, pro-climate change, against Middle Eastern war, mostly from the people who are comparing it to other historical atrocities. So mostly leftists. Right-wingers are absolutely against war, but just from a very different perspective. Regardless, this is going to just be an excuse for people to spout what they already believe in. Nobody's going to change their mind. Nobody's going to bother to check out the facts on this, which is unfortunate because I think that there is a basic failure of leadership because people were buying into a certain version of environmentalism that I don't think actually has anything to do with preserving the environment. I think it has a lot to do with money and politics. And if you actually changed the way that this is operated, that the fire prevention is operated, water reservoir management, forest cleaning, you know, the things that we've been talking about for the last day or two, I do think something good would have come of this, but unfortunately everybody's too entrenched to actually do the research. And you know what? If I'm wrong about these subjects, then at least have a debate on it and then give me the facts and the research and bring experts who are willing to stand up to scrutiny, not just recite their opinions on CNN, but actually listen to their adversaries and formulate a logical, coherent response so that I can be convinced. That would be a positive development in my opinion. I just want to return to a fact-based and debate-based type of politics where we the people are included in the decision-making and our opinion is sought after, as opposed to having unelected bureaucrats cherry-pick the experts that are most beneficial to their sort of agenda or interest or even worldview, you know? And we are basically cut out of the loop and expected to just go along with it and obey. I don't like this type of governing, and it seems to be happening more and more often. I just want a return to tradition on this one thing at least. Have debates again, have facts not determined by experts, but up to the public. Thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.